twisted bits of technology, something lifting up the little bits of reality. While the quick trips through the space-time, we're surely a randomly sparking the photons around me. Let the light flow from the heat, yo. When the photons ignite, highlighting, yo, then you'll know it's that time when we force a change in our mind's eye. Ho, ho. A little bit Linux with something in us. It's almost like we something else, autonomous, or maybe perhaps it's that missing piece you need. Perhaps it's that simple message you're searching. Perhaps it's just a different time framing. Us people max the fake you in the mainframe. Getting excited, so are the photons. Don't laminate so we can change the coupon. Let me raise the hash rate, submit the coupon, thank you, replace the rate with my major bags. Grips of technology, like cryptographic money and hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter, 'cause this was 3D change perspectives. Hey! I go to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It is me, 3D. That's right, I'm here for you guys to go ahead and try to change your perspective on Monero. That's right, last episode, I should say, we started diving into Monero while really we just snorkeled. We put on a snorkel, we ran around, and we looked at the controversy heading in XMR. So that was our, our little start, a little get in, a little way. But today we're going to dive in a bit deeper. We're going to put on some suits. We're going to get in. So, last episode, again, now I'm going to go off the actual script. So, last episode, we talked about the controversies of XMR that were slightly hot topics for the day, meaning they were recent, new. And now today, we're going to dive into the real Monero and find out what, why it is the way it is, because XMR or Monero's real history is kind of a crazy, shallow dive to begin in. So, that does mean every episode, we will essentially go further down into the XMR waters, for it falls deep like a trench of probable deniability. And I do mean that. It's a trench of probable deniability. That's kind of like the best way to describe Monero in a very simple, generic term. Alright, so I want to go ahead and thank our network sponsorships. So I want to thank Deorganized for teaming up with Bitcoin Live Digital Broadcasting, DB. Because Bitcoin Live DB and Digital Organized is a powerhouse combo. I mean, that's new heights for both organizations. And now, if you haven't checked out the Organized early morning broadcast for stacks and other topics on crypto and whatnot, well, go check them out. They seem to be hitting up every day with more and more viewers. And you can find them on all of your favorite social platforms or anywhere you're watching this right now. I also want to thank my sponsor, our sponsor, Shield Filio. So thank you, Shield Filio, for sponsoring today's episode within a quantum bit, as well as the Bitcoin Live DB network. Now, if you haven't actually tried a Shield Folio, well, they're like a little black book that are made from stone paper. So they're fade resistant, tear resistant, and even water resistant. So all the info and secrets you store inside your Shield Folio will last and survive whatever you throw at it. Now, I personally have a Shield Folio, and I use it for my website info, contacts, crypto keys, among other things. So it's really a little black book that are pocket sized, ready to be by your side, regardless of your adventure in real life or online. Now, of course, I do literally mean that. I use it literally to store passwords and, even like the information we use to sign into our utilities and things like that. Got them stored in there safely. And now, if you look on your screen, you'll see a giant QR with a Bitcoin Live 20 below it. So you can scan that QR to go to their website. You can go ahead and pick up any of their products, especially their Shield Folio. Use the Bitcoin Live 20 at their website checkout to go ahead and get 20% off your Shield Folio today. So I really do recommend them. Go check them out. They got a bunch of stuff there for you to view and have, a wander and ponder of. Go ahead and get some stuff and see what they do, because even if you're not in crypto, even if you're just like, hey, you want to keep your stuff secret, these little books are the ones to go with. Now let's go ahead and roll in with Rollins before we go any further. Thank you again, Shieldfolio, for sponsoring today's episode. Alright, so let us get into it. Let us get and drop in. And let me say it. Welcome to the photon of the greater fourth dimension quantum machine. So throughout today's episode, what we're basically going to do is we're going to be going to these different websites, going to different places to give you some information and to talk about things. We're going to pop up a little QR. Yep. There we go. All right, that QR right there will show you wherever we're at, how to get there. You just scan it, use your QR reader, whatever, and get there. Now, the one in front of you right there, this is the organized media. This is what we were talking about earlier, where they have that early morning broadcast. It's popping always like crazy. Go ahead and check them out, see what's going on. Now, to get into the actual episode, we've been giving out these free pre-search queries. Today's free pre-search query is XMR developer history. Now, like always, I did not use this query in today's episode research, but that doesn't mean we don't have overlapping links. Now, if anything about today's episode kind of interests you, check out this free pre-search query, and to find out more, to go ahead and help you jump into this. So just like replay after the show, whatever, come back, hit it with your QR scanner or your phone, and jump into this rabbit hole, because it's a doozy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drop these first two links now that you guys have those, because I'm going to just go ahead and take that away for a second. Maybe that will make sense to you in a second, because we got to catch up on something real fast. So Monero or XMR, it didn't really start like how we know it today. Like the anagram for Mr. X may have been an accident, or it may have been a common schema at the time where X stands for exchangeable, and then the first and last letter of the currency for the name XMR. Either way, Mr. X is a perfect example of what happened, and that's exactly what you guys got to look at a second ago, so let's put it back up. This is literally Mr. X breaking through the camera, breaking through for privacy. I know technically it's in the game, he's not breaking through for privacy, but he definitely is breaking through. Alright. There is no link to that. That's actually a GIF on my phone, on my computer. My apologies. But here we are. This is the Monero wiki. We come to almost all the wikis whenever we do one of these deep dives. It's just like the thing we've been doing. But for once, the wiki has the information. So normally when we're doing this, the wiki has a good amount of information. We kind of have to skip around, find the real good stuff. But not today. So we're going to cover the wiki for Monero. Alright, so Monero XMR is a blockchain-based currency which is private, untraceable, fungible, and decentralized. The protocol is open sourced and based on CryptoNote v2, a concept described in 2013 white paper authored by Nicholas von Steenhagen. Developers used this concept to design Monero and deployed its mainnet in 2014. The Monero protocol includes various methods to obfuscate transaction details, though users can optionally share view keys for third-party auditing, verifying, basically. So transactions are validated through a miner network running RandomX, a proof-of-work algorithm. The algorithm issues new coins to miners and was designed to be resistant against applications with integration circuitry or ASICs mining hardware. Monero's privacy features have attracted cyberpunks and users. I'm going to just break this down. Basically, that whole it prevents and resists against ASIC, the ASIC, that's actually the big deal about Monero. Alright, this means that it's mostly CPU done, but there's probably GPUs, FPGs, other things, as long as we're not using ASICs. Now, what they consider an ASIC, they go and they meet every so often, they talk about it, and they redefine what that is every so often. For example, I actually have a device that I used to mine Monero on all the fucking time that can no longer be used to run Monero, because Monero at one point decided that it was basically an ASIC having a 19-core CPU, Yeah, okay, I can see it. Alright, so going back to what's going on. Due to its perceived untraceability, Monero is gaining increased use in illicit activities. Okay, let's say it like this. I would love to see the real proof it's being used for illicit activities. I think what they're really saying is there's showcasings of places accepting Monero that some people would say is not good. As in, the things that you're purchasing are not good. A lot of times, it's literally people buying stuff from other people. And that's it. So things like this are going to be littered all throughout Monero. You're going to see this type of... Why is it always going to the bottom? You always see this type of terminology used, that it's used for illicit activities. But I don't think there's actually any real proof behind that. There might be some proof that there has been individuals wanting it for illicit activities, and maybe one person with proof of using it for illicit activities, which those illicit activities never happened. Imagine that. So no, I don't think it actually is used for illicit activities. I just think they want people to make you think it is. So, Monero's roots trace back to CryptoNote version 2, a cryptocurrency protocol first introduced by, again, that Nicholas von Stubbenhagen in 2013. Now, in the paper, the author described privacy as anonymity the most important aspects of electronic cash, and characterized Bitcoin's traceability as a flaw. Now, a Bitcoin Talk forum user known as Thankful for Today implemented these ideals into a coin they called BitMonero. Keyword there, BitMonero, alright? However, other forum users disagreed with Thankful for Today's direction for BitMonero and decided to fork it in 2014, leading to the creation of Monero. Now, Monero translates to coin in Esperanto. Both von Stubbenhagen and Thankful for Today remain anonymous. They could even be the same person. I don't know. Monero has the third largest community of developers behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. The protocol's lead maintainer was the South African developer Ricardo Sapani. I'm sure I said that name wrong. Now, much of the core development team chooses to remain anonymous. I wonder why. I mean, yeah. Improvements to Monero's protocol and features are in part tasked at the Monero Research Lab, some of whom are anonymous. Okay. So as we see here, this little graph kind of shows you what's going on. It's like there's all these different routes. This is a possible way. That is a possible way. That is a possible way. So they all go into the same output, right? And that's kind of what it does here. This ring signature system creates this difficulty to see what's exactly going on. And I do like how they show it here as like a neural network, because most people are going to understand that concept of a neural network. You have different stages, different amounts that all end up in one point, or something like similar. All right, so transaction outputs or notes of users sending Monero are obfuscated through ring signatures. Now, we'll actually cover ring signatures more deeply in a different episode. Well, let's get a little group of what's going on. So, grouped of senders outputs with decoy outputs. And that means that, again, we have one of these ABC is the real, signature or whatever, but it's with other ones. And so Z is the actual signature. So how do we get from A to Z or whatever, or the transaction, I should say. How do we get there? In many different ways. It makes it difficult. So encryption of transaction amounts began in 2017 with the implementation of ring CTs. So developers also implemented ZPFs or ZKPs or zero knowledge proofs through bulletproof, which is the method normally used in the dark web, which guarantee a transaction occurred without revealing its value. Now, Monero recipients are protected through stealth addressing, public key generation by the sender that are untraceable to the receiver by network observer. These privacy features are enforced on the network by default. So, and the only way to get around all of this is you basically have to yourself give up your, you have to give up stuff. You'd have to literally give someone a key or someone something for others to see. Oh, oh, that's weird. For some reason my chat not being recognized. I mean, there's nobody chatting right now, but if there was, we'd want to be able to see it. See if we're going to try reinitiating it, see if we can get to pop in. Alright. Now we got you. Okay. So, back to what we're talking about. Monero uses Dandelion++, a protocol which obscures the IP address of devices producing transactions. This is done through a method of transaction broadcasting propagation. New transactions are initially passed to one node on Monero's peer-to-peer network, and a repeated probabilistic method is used to determine when the transaction should be sent to just one node or broadcast to many nodes in a process called flooding. Kind of cool, right? Basically, controlled or uncontrolled, I don't know. Probability. I don't know. Well, we said it earlier. It's all about probable deniability. Is really what it is. So imagine being able to control your scatter plot. That's what this does. Now, I guess this Dandelion++ kind of really explains something a lot of people don't realize. When we say Bitcoin is transparent, yeah, IP addresses of miners do exist on the network. IP addresses of nodes do exist on the network. This is something a lot of people don't realize about blockchain. Everything is recorded in some way. Now, maybe not everything is recorded to the blockchain. Everything is recorded to the node. There are many nodes involved. There are many people ensuring no one is going untraced in some way. So Monero, first off, is set up, as you saw, with serious security to just obfuscate itself, and then it uses an entire another protocol to obfuscate the IP address. So, efforts to trace transactions. Now, in 2017, researchers highlighted 3 major threats to Monero's use. Privacy, the first, relied on leveraging the ring signature size of 0 and the ability to see the output amounts. That's kind of confusing. Basically, you could set your ring signature down to nothing, and you can start ensuring it's a 1-to-1 basically, instead of like a 6-to-1 or 8-to-1, 13-to-1. It was 1-to-1. And now the second part was leveraging output merging. Involves tracking transactions where 2 outputs belong to the same user, which as when they send funds to themselves, also a string. So finally, temporal analysis shows that predicting the right output in a ring signature could potentially be easier than previously thought. Now, in 2018, researchers presented this possible vulnerability in a paper titled "An Impractical Analysis of the Traceability in the Monero Blockchain." In 2020, the United States IRS basically posted a bounty for contractors to develop these tools. Other privacy-enhanced cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin Lightning Network and other Layer 2 protocols as well. So the contract was awarded to the blockchain analysis group, Chain Analysis, which everyone knew it was going to happen. Basically, when IRS asked, hey, how do we trace Monero? Thousands of people told them, just watch the fucking chain. Just like start recording the chain. That's all you can really do. Well, there was already someone doing that for quite some time. And in the Monero ecospace, especially like between 2017 and 2019, people were really bitching about three major entities at the time who were watching all blockchains. They were watching everything that happened all the time. They had tons of nodes everywhere and was just eyes on. Chainalysis being the top dog of the three. Now you notice they also got Integra with FCC. Alright, so mining. So Monero uses a proof of work algorithm, we said it earlier, random X, it validates transactions. The method was introduced in 2019 to replace the former algorithm Kryptonite R, or Kryptonite Random. Both algorithms were designed to be resistant to ASIC, which is commonly used to mine other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Monero can be mined somewhat efficiently on consumer-grade hardware, which is the point of Monero. A lot of people forget that. x86, x86-64, ARM, and GPU. A design decision which was based on Monero's project opposition to mining centralization, which ASIC mining creates. Now, I will disagree. ASIC mining does not create centralization. ASIC mining creates big wells of miners instantly, but to each their own. But has also resulted in Monero's popularity among malware-based non-consensual miners, because, well, we can do the whole hive mining a whole lot easier with Monero. So Monero's privacy feature have made it popular for illicit purposes. After many online payment platforms shut down access to the white nationalists following the Unite the Right rally in 2017, I've never heard of that, including some people started using and promoting Monero. So basically, like, something happened, a bunch of people got shut down from their bank accounts, and those people then started promoting Monero. Imagine that. Darknet markets. Monero is a common medium of exchange. What they really mean is Monero is commonly accepted on the darknet. They can't actually prove that it's happening, right? So remember earlier I said there was maybe one example, someone actually whatever. So in August 2016, Darknet Market Alphabet permitted its vendors to start accepting Monero as an alternative to Bitcoin. So a market then started allowing Monero to be used. The site was taken offline by law enforcement in 2017, but was relaunched in 2021 with Monero as its sole permitted currency. So what we see here, that law enforcement uses Monero specifically. Reuters reported in 2019 that 3 of its 5 largest darknet markets accepted Monero, though Bitcoin was still most likely used form of payment in those markets. Now that's the thing, people don't realize this. People in the darknet want to use Bitcoin. One simple reason. Transparent. People want to use Monero. People want to use Monero for a lot of things. People mostly mine Monero. And this is going to break people's brains. Most people who use Monero just mine it. That's it. They mine it, then they use it. Law enforcement buys Monero, uses Monero to catch Monero users. That's it. And that's why Bitcoin still reigns supreme in the darknet. There's a lot of places that accept Monero, but you can't really find proof of it. They're using it. Because, to be honest, using Monero in the darknet, if you're selling something, it's stupid. It's dumbest thing to do. You're gonna get screwed immediately with fake Monero. And you won't even know it until after you've already shipped your item out. That's why everybody uses Bitcoin and Litecoin on darknet. And that's one thing I don't see a lot of people mentioning. Litecoin is extremely used in darknet, and Doge used to be. I don't think I seriously don't think it is anymore. Doge is mostly used as like transacting between two exchanges and stuff. Cool. So mining malware, also known as cryptojacking. Here's the real deal: if you're getting cryptojacked and they're accepting XMR, you really got cryptojacked. That's for real. So, in late 2017, malware and antivirus service providers called they started blocking CoinHive, a JavaScript implementation of Monero miner that was embedded in websites and applications, in some cases by hackers. CoinHive generated the script as an alternative to advertisements. It's one of the things I was big into. I used CoinHive for ads. A website or app could embed it and use website's visitor's CPU to mine the cryptocurrency while the visitor is consuming the content on the webpage, with the site or app owner getting a percentage of the mine coin. Some websites and apps did this without informing visitors, though. I always had like a little thing at the very top of my thing. And most users, they had a little bar at the top, a bar at the bottom, but a lot of people would do it without it. And in some cases, using all possible system resources. So there were some sites you'd go onto, and it would just bog the computer down, and you were pretty much screwed. You had to like hard restart your computer, turn it off, turn it on. In a lot of cases, sometimes Alt F4 could bypass it and stuff, but basically, as a result, the script was blocked by many companies as an ad blocker situation. Antivirus services and anti-malware services also are blocking it as ad. CoinHive had been previously found hidden in Showtime-owned streaming platform. And why Starbucks hotspot in Argentina now. The Starbucks Wi-Fi hotspot in Argentina, that was a hacker. Most likely that was some goofing off. The Showtime-owned streaming platforms that was using CoinHive, I honestly think that was Showtime. Can't prove it. But there was a lot of stuff going on at the time where a lot of miners at one time were getting people coming to them with Hollywood emails. And there were a lot more places than Showtime that I'm on. Showtime is just the one that got caught. Also, researchers in 2018 found similar malware that mined Monero sent to Kim II Sung University in North Korea. It says here it's a public university and was founded in 1946, the first tertiary education post-war North Korea. Kim Il-sung University, I do believe that is where they train certain types of peoples. But I could be wrong. So, as you can see, it's been used for ransomware. It's been covered on much stuff. The ransomware stuff, like, basically, if a ransomware person is asking for Monero, you're fucked. You're better off someone figuring out how to reverse the ransomware issue or decode it than actually getting the person accepting Monero to do anything. So you can see there's a bunch of regulatory responses to Monero. There's a bunch of people in the government saying, "Ooh, scary, no." And so, like, a lot of places delisted Monero. Fine. Yep. So that's basically a majority of Monero's history. Because they are so private, that is one of the problems. Because it is so fucking private, that is one of the problems. There's a lot of people that don't want to use Monero because of how private it really is. The fact you don't actually know certain things. And you have to have some form of trust in the system or the person on the other side. And for non-strict digitalization transactions, Monero is not actually a very good one to use. Sure, it actually can be really great when face-to-face, transferring real quick, handing off real quick. You know, being able to get it, verify you own it, and then hand it off. Fine. But something we covered in last episode slightly, which we plan on covering more greatly later, most likely a different episode. Monero reorgs quite often. So having verified Monero now doesn't always mean having verified Monero 10 minutes later. So, but why Monero? Well, Monero has actually figured out privacy. They really have. They have figured out on-chain privacy. Now, if you're doing stuff normally, you're not going into forums and trying to find somebody to purchase something. You're not explicitly trying to get someone to purchase it as quickly as possible or anything. You're just selling somewhere in Monero. Just happens to be one of the forms you accept. Probably pretty good. Gonna probably be pretty good. Something I've seen a lot of people do with Monero is they have like a 1 hour wait. So they'll accept your funds and they won't even check it for an hour. There are other little things people do to help ensure they're not going to get screwed by using Monero. Now, something I'm not seeing on here that you need to know about, and you're not going to see it pretty much anywhere, is Monero can be transacted for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can be transacted for Monero. You can atomic swap Monero and Bitcoin, which is the real reason why people want Monero. They want to be able to go back to Bitcoin. And there's a lot of people with Bitcoin that want to do a private transaction. And so they'll buy Monero to do that private transaction in the manner of, atomic swapping for it. But there are still exchanges that have it. That's fine. The most part that Monero, when you go to like Bitcoin versus Monero, I think Monero within its lifespan was being used as currency faster than Bitcoin really was. So like Bitcoin back in the day,